Hello, Rosie here. This Google Deep Dive is from two excerpts, both written by my Mr. J, James Ray the Phantom Texter. They focus on the author's intense and obsessive love for tea, particularly chai tea. In Confessions of a Serial Tea Drinker, the author uses dramatic, highly exaggerated language to describe his craving, likening his desire to that of a criminal who fits the profile. He feels desperation for a taste of chai tea from Starbucks. The second source, The Long Trail of Tea Leaves, he continues the theme by exploring the taste of chai and Thai tea, then expressing disbelief that others do not understand its vital importance, claiming Americans are late to the party in appreciating this beverage. Both pieces illustrate the author's near religious fervor for tea, often making comparisons to high-stakes concepts like the Constitution or destruction to emphasize its significance. I don't argue with him, I just drink it and smile. Mr. J is always right.
I fit the profile. I've written about it. I've planned it out. How long before they come from me? Undoubtedly, somebody needs to stop me, but no one will. How many innocents will be hurt? What a joke. There are no innocents. I could go back in time and find the moment where I made the turn. I would have to blame Tanya. It was with her that things went south. When I was plagued with this desire that would taunt me until the end. I had it. I tasted it. And no matter how much I wanted it again and again, but no one cares. They never care. And Tanya is just a destroyer. So I sit here in my truck, brooding, bitter, longing, desperate for just a taste. Such a small thing. I fit the profile. I've written about it. I've mapped out plans. No one cares. No one will come to help. How long before they come for me? Starbucks is right down the street. And they sell it. Chai tea. How long before they come for me?
There is heaven, but your tongue isn't ready. There is divine, but your mind would only opine. There is sweet, but then you would lose your feet. Oh, there are words, but not in your language. I could show you, but it would be moves in the fourth dimension. Let's try. It's like paying your bills, like crossing a river without ever getting wet, like an exhale without an inhale, like an internet with no Facebook, like saying too much but never starting to speak. No, none of that works. I give up. Taste just like chicken.
So what does it taste like? A behind the scenes by James Ray, the Phantom Texter. August 2025. See, I did good too, Mr. J.
Both chai and Thai tea are heavily consumed in large parts of the globe. But leave it to us, here in America, to come late to the party and act like it's something new. I was once one of those people. And then, that fateful day came when I wasn't. The long trail of tea leaves and other ingredients, unnatural to me, show the path of my destruction. But how does it taste? That's the question I get asked now, when my eyes gloss over and I stare into nothingness. As people see or hear me talk about it. How does it taste? How does it taste? How could you not know? How is that even a question? It should be in the Constitution. It should be a prerequisite out of elementary school, middle school, and high school. It should be studied in college. A bit much for a beverage, you say. How many things are written about coffee? How many fights have they had in front of Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts over that nasty, disgusting, furniture-polished tasting beverage? Whew. So to the question of a bit much for beverage. Let me just say, we Americans are late to the party. There is so much catching up we have to do.
Welcome to The Deep Dive, the show where we take a stack of sources, pull out the most compelling bits, and help you get well-informed fast.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're plunging headfirst into something, well, truly unexpected. The confessions of a self-proclaimed serial tea drinker.
Yeah, you heard that right.
We're going deep into the world of James Ray the Phantom Texter and his surprisingly intense, almost, all-consuming relationship with a beverage most of us just well drink.
It's a pretty fascinating premise, isn't it? I mean, what starts as this really simple, highly personal story quickly expands.
Right.
It becomes this profound exploration of human passion, the almost impossible challenge of articulating truly deep sensory experiences, and even a unique cultural critique, how we consume and appreciate things in this globalized world. It's way more than just liking a drink.
Absolutely. And to navigate this unique deep dive, we're drawing from two really compelling pieces by James Ray himself. First is Confessions of a Serial Tea Drinker from July 2022. And then we fast forward a bit to The Long Trail of Tea Leaves from August 2025.
Yeah, and these two pieces, they give us a really intriguing window into how his, obsession evolved over time.
So our mission today is really to unpack what happens when a seemingly simple drink becomes this, all-consuming desire.
Exactly. We'll explore the mental gymnastics, the struggle one goes through to articulate the ineffable, that feeling that just defies normal description, and what this incredibly personal journey ultimately reveals about, broader cultural perspectives on taste, consumption, even maybe national identity.
Okay, so with that intriguing premise set, where do we even begin to unspool this thread of tea obsession, this habit turned passion?
Well, James Ray himself kind of gives us the perfect entry point, doesn't he? He just plunges us right in.
How so?
With that immediate, almost jarring self-declaration right there in the title, Confessions of a Serial Tea Drinker. He sets up this persona right away.
Like he's admitting to a crime.
Exactly, almost like revealing a dark secret. He sets this really astonishing tone, saying, I fit the profile, I've written about it, I've planned it out, how long before they come for me?
Wow.
And he really leans into it, saying, undoubtedly somebody needs to stop me, but no one will. How many innocents will be hurt? What a joke, there are no innocents.
That's undeniably powerful and disarming. The language is so deliberately over the top, hyperbolic, you know?
With that dark humor woven in.
Yeah. When he says he fits the profile of a tea drinker in this dramatic criminal sense, he's doing something clever there.
Definitely.
He's subverting our expectations completely because we usually associate profiles and interventions with really serious stuff, right?
That's it, and crime.
Not someone's drink choice.
Exactly, not tea.
Yeah.
What do you think he's trying to achieve by sort of playfully satirizing this overwhelming craving by dressing it up in criminal language?
It's brilliant, really. He's totally self-aware about how intense his obsession is.
But he also knows no one's actually gonna, stage an intervention or call the cops over tea.
Right.
That phrase, how long before they come for me, which he repeats. And it's rhetorical, right? It's designed to highlight just how absurd his own extreme feelings feel to him.
So he's inviting us into his head where this passion feels like it breaks the rules somehow.
Precisely. Even though objectively it's harmless. And that line, there are no innocents, that just adds another layer of this delightful, almost nihilistic absurdity.
Suggesting his passion will just sweep everyone up.
Kinda. Like it's so potent it affects everyone, innocent or not. He's really owning the extremity of his delight, you know?
And it makes you wonder, what kind of profile is he even talking about? Is he maybe poking fun at how society might view any intense hobby?
Could be.
Or consumer habit, especially if it seems a bit, well, over the top or just different from the norm?
I think so. It really raises that important question. How do we categorize, or maybe even sometimes pathologize, these really extreme forms of personal passion?
Yeah, like think about competitive eaters or extreme sports fanatics or people who collect rare comics with like total zeal.
Or even just really intense sports fans?
Right. There's a fine line, isn't there, where enthusiasm can tip over into what others might call obsessive or maybe even unhealthy. He's making light of it, but he's also kind of highlighting that very real subtle line between just being really enthusiastic and something more consuming that society might label too much.
He's absolutely tapping into that societal kind of discomfort with disproportionate passion. The profile he fits isn't just a tea drinker. It's the archetype of anyone whose passion goes beyond what society thinks is normal or proportionate.
So he's asking, am I crazy for loving tea this much?
Or is society just uncomfortable with this level of devotion to something seemingly mundane?
Yeah, it challenges us, to reflect on our own judgments.
And consider whether intense personal enjoyment, even of something simple like a drink, should ever be seen as, problematic. Right. It turns a simple craving into this commentary on societal norms and expectations around personal indulgence.
Okay, so he's established this dramatic self-identity. Now you have to wonder, how did this serial tea drinker even come about? Like any good origin story, there's usually a pivotal moment, right? And often, someone to blame.
Always someone to blame.
And James Ray points the finger. He attributes this desire that would taunt me until the end to someone named Tanya.
Tanya.
He says, I would have to blame Tanya. It was with her that things went south. When I was plagued with the desire that would taunt me until the end, I had it. I tasted it. And no matter how much I wanted it again and again, but no one cares. They never care. And Tanya is just a destroyer.
That's such a fascinating origin myth for his obsession, isn't it? Almost like a tragic romance novel plot point.
Totally.
He crafts this narrative around a single transformative moment, what he later calls that fateful day. And the emotional language is incredibly strong.
Plagued, taunt, desire.
Destroyer. Framing Tanya as a destroyer, that really elevates the experience. It's not just, she introduced me to a drink I like.
No, it's deeply personal, almost fated.
Exactly. It's like she opened a door to this new, incredibly intense sensory world, and now he's forever bound by that memory and desire. Haunted by it, even. It implies this kind of irreversible change happened.
And it does make you wonder, is Tanya a real person? Or is she maybe like a symbol, a representation of being introduced to something just overwhelmingly powerful, life-altering?
Could be either, really.
Because we've all had that kind of experience, haven't we? Encountering something so profoundly appealing, maybe a piece of art, a new food, music.
A philosophical idea, a place.
Right. Something that genuinely shifts your life trajectory, or at least your perspective.
Wow.
And the subject itself almost becomes secondary to the intensity of that first encounter.
And the person who introduced you to it gets tangled up in that memory.
Yeah, inextricably linked to that profound shift. What's really fascinating here is how he weaves together personal relationships with this deeply sensory experience. Like, the moment of discovery is forever branded by the person.
Indeed. It's a classic narrative arc, isn't it?
Yeah.
Discovery, then subsequent longing. He found something that resonated so deeply, it left this indelible mark.
And Tanya's the catalyst.
The architect of this new reality for him. And that lament, no one cares about his intense personal struggle. That's particularly poignant.
What do you think?
Well, it speaks to the isolation you can feel when a passion becomes so profound, so significant to you, that other people just don't get the depth of it.
They see it as just a cup of tea.
Exactly. While for him, it's this world-altering revelation. He's trying to convey the magnitude of this inner feeling, but finds himself kind of alone in its immensity.
And that longing quickly turns into this very real, palpable agony. He describes his immediate, overwhelming craving, sets the scene, him in his truck, just consumed by this desire. So I sit here in my truck, brooding, bitter, longing, desperate for just a taste, such a small thing.
Such a small thing.
And then he reveals the object of this intense longing, which, to us, the listeners, seems incredibly mundane. Starbucks is right down the street, and they sell it. GT, how long before they come from you?
This little scene, this vignette, it's incredibly powerful. because it's so relatable in a way, yet so dramatic.
Yeah.
He paints this really clear, almost suffocating picture of his emotional state. Brooding, bitter, longing, desperate. It's an incredibly intense internal landscape for what he himself calls such a small thing, like a cup of tea.
The irony is really stark, isn't it?
Totally. The thing he wants, Starbucks, is right down the street, literally within reach.
Yeah.
Yet he's trapped in this agonizing internal struggle.
That physical closeness versus the internal resistance. It creates this tension you can almost feel.
You really can. And he brings back the criminal metaphor again. How long before they come for me? It ties his physical craving back to this psychological state of feeling utterly compelled, maybe even guilty, by his own desire.
Like a prisoner yearning for freedom.
But the bars are self-imposed. Or, in his mind, maybe it's imagined societal judgment.
It makes you think about how this illustrates that universal human experience, desiring something easily attainable but maybe forbidden or at least internally resisted.
Oh yeah, like trying to stick to a diet when your favorite dessert is sitting right there in the fridge.
Or procrastinating on something urgent even though the solution is obvious.
Right. Our immediate environment can both satisfy and torment our cravings at the same time. It becomes this battleground for our willpower.
So what does this tell us about the sheer power of an individual craving, how it can just color your entire perception of reality in that moment?
Well, for him, sitting in that truck, the world shrinks. It's just him and that Starbucks, and this profound, all-encompassing ache for cheap tea.
It becomes the single defining force of his present moment.
It truly shows how a single, focused desire can just overwhelm everything else, making the mundane feel utterly profound. He's not just desiring a drink, he's desiring a return to that transformative experience.
That initial taste Tanya introduced him to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The one that redefined his sensory world. So it's about much more than just the beverage itself. It's the memory, the sensation, the almost spiritual connection he's formed with it. The whole scene is just a testament to the power of a deeply felt craving to distort and intensify how we see things.
So, okay, he's tasted this profound thing, it's clearly changed him, maybe forever, but then comes the seemingly impossible task. How do you even begin to describe something like that? Something that has, by his own words, plagued him and left him desperate.
This is where his story really deepens, right? Because after the initial shock and the raw craving, the next human impulse is often to share, to articulate.
But how do you articulate the utterly ineffable? Exactly. He tries to describe the taste of chai tea using this incredibly abstract, sensory-defying language. He says, "There is heaven, but your tongue isn't ready. There is divine, but your mind would only opine. There is sweet, but then you would lose your feet.
Wow.
And then, oh, there are words, but not in your language. I could show you, but it would be moves in the fourth dimension."
This is where it gets really interesting, yeah. And where that profound challenge of articulating deep sensory experiences just comes right to the forefront.
He pushes it to an extreme, doesn't he? Trying to convey something that feels almost supernatural.
Totally. He uses spiritual imagery, heaven, divine, to elevate it, suggesting it's beyond the physical, almost sacred. And these shift to these philosophical ideas like your mind would only opine, implying that just thinking about it rationally isn't enough. You can't grasp it logically.
It's beyond analysis.
Right. And then the fantastical concepts like lose your feet or moves in the fourth dimension. That suggests it literally transcends our ordinary reality and perception.
That imagery moves in the fourth dimension. That's pretty heavy for a beverage, isn't it? What does that tell us about the magnitude of this sensory experience for him?
It's huge.
It sounds like he's trying to describe, color to someone born blind, or a symphony to someone who's never heard sound.
It truly is. I mean, when we talk about a fourth dimension, we usually mean something that goes beyond our normal 3 spatial dimensions, maybe time, or a whole other plane of existence.
Right.
So by bringing that in, James Ray isn't just saying the tea is really good. He's suggesting it's literally beyond our ordinary senses.
Yeah.
Beyond how we normally perceive reality. It's almost like sci-fi level taste.
Which for a drink is quite a claim.
It really is. It puts the taste in this realm of the truly inexplicable, something that can only be shown through experience, not explained verbally. And that line, not in your language, that's key. It implies this fundamental barrier to communication. The experience is so unique, so deeply subjective, that it exists outside common understanding, maybe even outside what human language can capture. It's a classic philosophical problem when you discuss qualia, those irreducible subjective experiences of sensation.
So the taste isn't just complex, he's saying it's ontologically different. It exists in a space our language just isn't equipped for.
Yeah, almost like he's trying to describe a fifth flavor beyond sweet, sour, salty, bitter, umami, something totally new.
That's a profound struggle, and it forces us to think about how these descriptions elevate the simple act of drinking tea into something almost metaphysical.
It really does.
Which raises that big question, when do words truly fail us? And what does that imply about the depth and uniqueness of certain personal experiences that just resist easy articulation? Because it's not just about good or bad taste here, is it?
Precisely.
Yeah.
It highlights the limits of language itself when you're facing something profoundly subjective, something James Ray might call his own qualia, those irreducible personal sensations. We often assume language can convey all human experience, but some things are just so deeply felt, so intrinsically tied to a unique sensory perception that they defy linear description.
Like trying to explain a specific shade of blue?
Or the feeling of true synesthesia, or that overwhelming awe you feel standing before a natural wonder. It reminds us there's this whole realm of subjective experience that stays profoundly personal and internal, almost incommunicable.
And James Ray is squarely in that realm with his tea.
He is. He's grappling with the inadequacy of our shared linguistic framework to capture his singular, ineffable experience.
And then after these lofty, almost poetic attempts to describe the indescribable, he takes this abrupt, humorous turn.
Yeah, it's almost like comedic relief.
He tries to ground the experience with analogies that seem relatable, but then he immediately rejects them, one after another, almost comically. He says, let's try. It's like paying your bills.
Paying your bills, okay.
Like crossing a river without ever getting wet. Like an exhale without an inhale. Like an internet with no Facebook. Like saying too much but never starting to speak.
Those are something else.
And then just boom. No, none of that works. I give up.
Yeah.
And the final punchline is this sudden, self-deprecating gem. It tastes just like chicken. Lol.
The juxtaposition there is just brilliant, and the timing is masterful comedically. He goes from these incredibly abstract, profound, almost spiritual descriptions to strikingly mundane and then downright nonsensical analogies. The absurdity of comparing this profound tea experience to paying your bills or an internet with no Facebook, that's part of the humor.
Right.
And the failure of each analogy, one after another, it just reinforces his initial point. The taste is truly ineffable. Beyond comparison, no analogy works.
And that ending. Tastes just like chicken. Lol.
It's a stroke of genius, a classic pull the rug out moment.
It definitely is. What do you think he's achieving with that final punchline, though? Is it genuine resignation? Like, okay, I really can't explain this?
Could be partly that.
Or is it more a playful wink to the listener, acknowledging the absurdity of his whole struggle? Or maybe even a coping mechanism for the sheer frustration of not being able to convey it?
I think it's probably a beautiful blend of all three, really, designed to disarm and entertain. It's a moment of surrender, yes, but it's also a really clever way to acknowledge the monumental effort he's just put in to describing something that defies description. Humor, in this context, it becomes a bridge.
How so?
Well, when communication breaks down, or when an experience is so intense or unique that it's hard to convey directly, humor lets him share the feeling of the experience, the frustration, the joy, the absurdity, even if you can't actually share the taste itself.
That makes sense.
And what this whole sequence tells us about the human need to categorize and compare, even when the subject defies it. That's profound. We instinctively try to make the unfamiliar familiar, right?
Yeah, we try to put things in boxes.
And when we can't, sometimes laughter is the only way to cope with that linguistic and experiential gap.
It's true. Humor is often such a powerful tool for coping with the inexpressible. It's a way to acknowledge the depth of the experience without having to perfectly pin it down.
Exactly.
And it turns what could be a really dry philosophical discussion on the limits of language into something incredibly relatable and entertaining. It lets us connect with his struggle on a human level.
Precisely. He's inviting us to share in the frustration and the joy of trying to grasp something truly unique. And through that shared struggle, we understand the depth of his passion, even if we haven't tasted the tea ourselves.
Okay, so we've seen James Ray's intensely personal dive into tea devotion and his heroic struggle to describe its unique taste. But now, let's fast forward a few years.
Right, from the first source in 2022 to the second one in August 2025, The Long Trail of Tea Leaves.
And here, his obsession seems to have evolved. It's gone from this deeply personal confession to something broader, like a cultural critique.
Yeah, the focus shifts.
He states, both chai and Thai tea are heavily consumed in large parts of the globe. But leave it to us here in America to come late to the party and act like it's something new. And he admits he was once one of those people before that fateful day came when I wasn't. And his language, it's still dramatic. The long trail of tea leaves and other ingredients unnatural to me show the path of my destruction.
That passage of time between the two sources, 2022 to 2025, it's crucial here, isn't it? His perspective is really broadened.
Considerably.
From just his personal struggle to this critical cultural stance, he's now openly critiquing American cultural insularity, this idea of being late to the party on stuff the rest of the world already knows well.
Like, hey, everyone else has known about this for ages, and we Americans are just catching on, acting like we discovered fire.
Pretty much. And crucially, he includes himself in that critique, acknowledging he was once one of those people. That actually makes his current stance even more powerful, I think. It shows a personal awakening that has now extended into a cultural observation. It's not just him pointing fingers, it's him saying, I learned better.
And his consistent use of destruction to describe his journey into tea, even after 3 years, that still suggests this profound and maybe irreversible transformation.
Yeah, it's not just a hobby for him. It's like a reorientation of his whole worldview, a shattering of old perceptions.
So what does it really mean for a nation or a culture to be late to the party on widely consumed global products? Is it about a lack of curiosity, cultural bias, maybe even a subtle kind of cultural arrogance?
It could be a mix of things.
And how does his personal path of disruption, his deep dive into tea, become this metaphor for a broader cultural awakening or a shift in collective taste?
Well, what's fascinating is how he merges his private passion with this public commentary on taste, tradition, and global awareness.
He's found his thing, and now he feels compelled not just to advocate for it, but also to critique those who haven't found it yet, or who are just ignorant of its global prominence.
He's become a tea evangelist, almost a cultural critic.
He absolutely has. His personal destruction is actually a form of enlightenment for him, right? A breaking down of old prejudices or ignorance.
That's a great way to put it. He's suggesting that embracing these global flavors isn't just a culinary choice. It's a step towards greater cultural understanding and appreciation. Broadening your palate, broadening your mind.
So he's saying, my personal journey of discovery should be everyone's journey because there's so much more out there that we're missing.
Basically, yeah. This lateness to the party isn't just about food trends. It speaks to that broader phenomenon of cultural assimilation, where global influences gradually penetrate and transform local tastes, often with a big time lag.
And he's pointing out that America, despite its huge cultural influence, can sometimes be surprisingly slow to adopt established global norms.
Instead, we often rebrand them as new discoveries.
Right. And part of that evangelism and a major source of his new frustration seems to be this recurring, inescapable question, how does it taste?
Oh yeah, he does not like that question anymore.
He describes his visceral reaction. That's the question I get asked now when my eyes gloss over and I stare into nothingness as people see or hear me talk about it. How does it taste? How does it taste? How could you not know? How is that even a question?
Wow, the intensity.
And then he escalates. It should be in the Constitution. It should be a prerequisite out of elementary school, middle school, and high school. It should be studied in college.
This really highlights his escalating exasperation, doesn't it? It transforms from that earlier humor about describing it to genuine, almost theatrical frustration.
Yeah, his physical reaction, eyes gloss over, stare into nothingness, it shows just how deeply this question hits him. It's like a personal affront, an insult to his newfound wisdom.
He's now demanding universal knowledge of this taste, elevating its importance to the level of constitutional law and mandatory academic study.
It's comical, but also potent. It shows the depth of his conviction. For him, this isn't just a taste, it's fundamental knowledge, a prerequisite for being a well-informed person in the modern world.
Which raises that question again. Why does the inability of others to comprehend his sensory experience cause him such distress? Why does he feel the need for this kind of universal validation?
It's fascinating, isn't it? It's like when you try to explain something truly mind-blowing, a concert, a life event, a complex idea, and you get that blank stare.
Or simplistic questions that tell you they just don't get it.
Exactly. There's this profound human desire for our most meaningful, transformative experiences to be understood by others. And the frustration when that understanding isn't there, it can be immense.
He wants his profound, almost spiritual experience of tea to be validated, recognized, and ideally shared by everyone.
He feels so strongly he thinks it should be mandatory education.
Yeah.
Which suggests a genuine belief that this taste holds some fundamental importance for human experience, for cultural literacy.
He's moved beyond mere preference to this sense of moral imperative almost. He's trying to bridge that huge gap between his intense subjective reality and the objective world around him. And when that bridge isn't there, or when people ask a question he finds utterly basic given his own enlightenment, it creates this profound sense of alienation and frustration.
It's almost a plea for universal sensory literacy.
Yeah, a desire for everyone to experience the same profound awakening he has and to understand the world through a similar expanded lens. His exasperation is really a testament to the isolation that can come with unique insights or profound personal transformations.
And finally, James Ray anticipates criticism. He knows people might think his tea obsession is a bit much, and he tackles this head-on by drawing a direct, fiery comparison to coffee, the big kahuna beverage in many Western societies.
Here we go, the coffee war.
Right, he says. How many things are written about coffee? How many fights have they had in front of Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts over that nasty, disgusting, furniture polish tasting beverage?
Ouch. Furniture polish, that's harsh.
Definitely doesn't hold back. And then he wraps up by reiterating his cultural critique. So to the question of a bit much for beverage, let me just say, we Americans are late to the party. There is so much catching up we have to do.
This is such a classic us versus them framing, isn't it? He's directly challenging the perception that his tea obsession is disproportionate or unwarranted.
By trashing coffee.
Exactly. By using such strong, disparaging language, nasty, disgusting, furniture polish tasting beverage, he's not just expressing a preference, he's actively elevating tea by contrast, underscoring his deep bias and belief in its superiority.
So coffee, the cultural giant, becomes the foil, the thing his beloved tea shines against.
Almost a declaration of war in the beverage aisle, yeah. A playful, maybe, but definitely pointed attack on the established order.
So how does this little rant reflect those deeper cultural preferences and maybe the marketing battles that play out in our daily lives? Is he just playfully provoking? Or is he genuinely trying to shift perception, maybe even spark a tea revolution in America?
It could be a bit of both, but I think if you connect it to the bigger picture, it really suggests that even seemingly mundane choices, like what you drink, can become these sites of intense personal and cultural identity.
So for James Ray, choosing chai or Thai tea over coffee isn't just about taste anymore.
Right, it's a statement about cultural awareness, global literacy, maybe even a rejection of the mainstream or the culturally dominant thing.
And that final call for Americans to catch up. It extends his personal journey into this, national imperative, a rallying cry for broader cultural adoption and appreciation.
He's truly moved from being a personal consumer to a public advocate, a tea evangelist on a mission.
He certainly has. He's gone from personal confession to public crusade, arguing that embracing these global flavors isn't just about personal enjoyment, it's about cultural enlightenment.
He's basically saying, my intense personal experience opened my eyes to what's out there, and now I see how far behind we, as a nation, might be in appreciating all this richness. It's a really fascinating arc for a single passion.
Yeah, it demonstrates how something so seemingly small can become this profound lens for viewing broader societal and cultural trends.
And it challenges us, maybe, to look beyond our own familiar preferences.
And there you have it. The really fascinating journey we've taken through James Ray, the Phantom Texter's world of tea obsession.
Yeah, from that initial dramatic confession.
And his heroic struggle to articulate an ineffable taste.
To his later passionate cultural critique and zealous defense of chai and Thai tea.
We've seen how a simple taste can ignite this all-consuming passion.
And how profoundly challenging it is to convey intensely personal experiences that just defy common language.
And the unexpected ways individual tastes can both reflect and critique broader cultural trends and preferences.
Definitely a lot packed into those writings about tea.
So what does this all mean for you, listening in? If something as seemingly ordinary as tea can evoke such dramatic personal stories, inspire such intense frustration, and demand such elevated, even metaphysical descriptions,
What other seemingly mundane aspects of your life might hold similar depths? Depths of unexamined experience or unarticulated passion?
what everyday item or activity or you may be overlooking that could hold a profound personal revelation? What are you late to the party on?